All right. So actually, everyone's coming in now. That's all right. Now, where was I? So yeah, the whole point of the Connectathon more broadly and the track is to get participants who have potentially independently implemented these standards, talked a lot about them, participated in the development of them. But the Connectathon is the most exciting part because this is when we actually get those participants into a room and we actually test if these things actually work to connect to each other. Trial by fire. So the particular standards that we're talking about in this track are primarily Smart App Launch, which I assume you're all familiar with if you're interested in this track, but it's essentially a specification that helps us extend the functionality of EHR systems with new functionality and user interfaces and features. And we can authorize third-party apps to access data, both read and write, in systems that have implemented FHIR interfaces, which it turns out is a really, really useful capability. And on top of that, we also look at structured data capture because there's a lot of interest in using Smart App Launch to extend that functionality of systems, but also to do that in the context of data capture. So we want to create new data capture user interfaces for our existing systems that are based on standards-based form definitions and be able to capture that data in FHIR format natively and write it back into those systems. And of course, we are also looking, being in Australia, we are also looking to test the use of our AU Core standards that we've been working so hard on, but within the context of these specs. So can we write AU Core based smart apps? Can we write AU Core based structured data capture apps, forms that capture data and write back AU Core or pre-populate from AU Core data? So the purpose of all this is to validate the standards. It's easy to write standards, but we want to actually validate the assumptions that have crept in during the standards development process. And principally, we want to learn together. So it's an in-person only event. And the reason for that is that we really just want to have that really high bandwidth communication that comes with getting a whole bunch of people from across Australia into the same room and rapidly working on real solutions to these integration problems. And we want to help you accelerate your implementation. So not only adding in a different perspective to it so that it has broader applicability, but helping unblock you in your mission to sort of implement these specs. That is what we're here for. So at a Connectathon, we have roles. So nothing interesting happens unless you get two different roles together to try and connect to each other. So we have 4 roles defined for this track: Smart App Host, Smart App and Form Renderer App Host and Form Renderer App. Now, what do these things mean? So Smart App Host is a system that has data and has implemented a FHIR interface and a smart smart app launch interface and is capable of launching a smart app and authorizing it to access that data. Conversely, a smart app is the third-party app that is being launched, that is being authorized to talk to this FHIR-enabled system. So what we're looking for is FHIR servers, clinical systems, EMRs that implement smart app launch to come along, but also developers of the apps themselves. And what we want to see is as many of these combinations getting exercised as possible. So I've got an app, can I launch it off your FHIR interface? Or I've got a FHIR server, can I launch as many apps as possible? So we're basically running a matchmaking service for people who are coming along with these different implementations. Now, Form Renderer App Host and Form Renderer App are similar to the first two, but with the variation that this is specific to data capture applications. So this is where we put Smart App Launch and SDC together for additional profit. So this is where a clinical system is capable of launching a forms-based app. So here's a form, an SDC form. Here's a form renderer. I want to get it filled out and I want to get the response to that form written back into my system somehow. And on the other side of that, we have the forms-based app itself. And we've got a number of different examples of these that I'm going to go through in a minute. So if you have anything that can in any way fill or partially fill these roles, we're interested in getting you onto the participant capability table, which is what I'm about to cover. Here we go. Here's a nice link. Oh. Okay. Sorry, it's in dark mode because I do everything dark mode. Okay, so what this is this is where the matchmaking happens. So actually, before I talk about that, I should introduce the launch track website itself. So on the HL7 Confluence, we have a page for the Sydney Connectathon, and we have a page for each track. So you can see here that we have AE Core, AE Patient Summary track, Smart App Launch track, and the AE Requesting track. And each of these tracks will have a whole bunch of information that will be super important to you when you're at the Connectathon, including, you know, what it's all about, what the roles are. I just covered that off. What you really need to have in place to participate effectively in this. So this is very much a doing event. It's send people who are all ready to go with actually building stuff on the day. That's the best way to get the most out of it. Who the track leads are. We've got our presentation here from last time, but we'll be coming up with a new presentation that we'll deliver on the first day, that will, you know, give you everything you need before we start. We have a Zulip stream as well, which is going to be sort of a place where we can chat as we go through, post links and all the rest of it. We often have some sessions, people talking at you while you're doing your work. We don't do too much of that. This is not a broadcast event, but often there can be interesting topics that are of relevance to the work that you're doing. So we'll announce more about that between now and the event. And crucially, we have this participant capability table. So what this is it's a table of all the different possible participants in this track. And of course, there are some effectively provided by the Sparked program and CSIRO as part of helping the event along and providing test servers for people to write their applications against. So we have a development file server provided by the Spark program for testing particularly AU Core applications. It has a bunch of AU Core test data in it. It does not have write capabilities. So if you are testing apps that write, there are some other options here. We have, so that one's a server. So we talked about app hosts and apps. So this is an app host. Smart Forms is an app. It's a generic SDC form renderer app that you can bring your questionnaire, render it, get it filled out, and you can launch Smart Forms off a variety of different app hosts. And so we keep going down the list. You know, we've got multiple different test servers that you can use. We've also got multiple different smart apps ready to go to test against servers. So we've got Smart Forms, we've got our Odds CVD Risk Calculator smart app that if you came along to the last Connectathon, you saw that was sort of very prominently featured and is available there to launch off via servers. And we have a number of different vendors and partner organizations that have already indicated their interest in providing test endpoints for people to interact with. So what we're hoping for is to get as many different combinations connecting on the day. So if you haven't already, please take a look at this table. I'll post the link and the slides will be available after this, and add your details here so that other people can connect to you, and you can also connect to other people. And if you're already on there and you haven't sort of checked and validated your details, please do so. Okay. In addition to all these different participants, by the way, there's names on that table. The idea is that you actually interact with these people. You go and we get to know each other. You find the people who are responsible for the other apps and app hosts in the track, and you go and talk to them. You know, how can I connect to your service? Do I need a client ID? How does it all work? I'm having this problem. And that's how we make progress. We've also got a bunch of different tools that can help you, particularly if you're early on in the process of getting into all this stuff. And I've just posted a couple of links here. These slides will be posted, and we'll go through more detail on this on the day. But for example, there's a Smart App Starter Kit. You can go onto Code Sandbox and you can have a ready to go vanilla smart app in seconds. And you can actually launch this off Fire servers, and then you can play around with it. You can modify it. You can try adding new features to it, and thus kind of learn how smart app launch works and actually get something running. We've also got a Postman collection, which shows examples of the types of requests that get made within the Smart App launch process so that you can actually understand the mechanics of it and incorporate this into your work. So the most important part of the Connectathon is what we call the report out. And this is where, so we have 2 days, and we try to spend most of those 2 days actually doing stuff. And what we do is we reserve a chunk of the second day for report out. And we want to get as many report outs as we possibly can. And a report out can be anything from I integrated, my app with this host, or these apps with these hosts, or it could be I learned something new, and this is what I did during the Connectathon, and I learned something new, and I want to share it. So it could be reporting your progress. It could be sharing something you've learned, or it could even be, this is my use case for applying Fire and applying Smart App Launch. And that's really useful information as well, because we've got all the people here who are developing the standards, and they want to understand how the standards are going to be applied in the real world. So you might be able to talk to what your requirements are and how you're thinking of applying these standards and what you've learned in the context of that. So we're talking about super short lightning talks, like 5 minutes. And we're going to be actively encouraging everybody to report out if they can. So that's pretty much the end of the formal content that I've prepared. I'd just like to pause for a sec now. And first of all, maybe we might have a bit of a round of introductions, actually, the people who are here, because we can get, probably most of you have met each other, but we've got some of the key people here who are going to be participating in the track on the day. And also, any questions? Do you have any questions for us about what's going to happen, how you can best prepare? So I might just kick it off by sort of introducing myself and our team. So my name's John Grimes. I'm going to be one of the track leads, and I work at the Australian eHealth Research Centre as CSIRO on interoperability and analytics. And I'm going to be co-leading this track with Sean, who's about to introduce himself.
Yep, I'm Sean, software engineer at the Australian eHealth Research Centre. So my work is mainly based around smart on Fire and SDC. So smart forms, it's a really good combination of these two standards. I'll be bringing in smart forms. I'll be bringing a smart EHR launcher, which is the front end of a launching system. And in behalf of the Heart Foundation, we'll be bringing in the Australian CVD risk calculator as well to the Connectathon. So happy to connect these apps and systems with everyone.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, I suppose I've mostly been involved in this work through I guess I'm mostly interested in sort of questionnaire design and how that works with structured data capture and smart apps generally. But yeah, thanks.
Okay, I might just pull everyone out like in a roughly clockwise fashion. I can see them. Just quick intro and just what you're planning to get out of the track at the Connectathon. Landon, you're lucky number one.
Cool, thanks, John. My name's Landon from Best Practice Software. We're implementing a fire facade. I'm hoping to verify potentially like the CVD calculator and any new changes to that, and then it's working with our servers. And then I can, feedback any tickets to my team to get those resolved. Thank you.
Awesome. Ben? You're on mute.
How embarrassing. I'm from the Northern Territory. I'll be coming down to try and learn as much as I can. I'm fairly new to this thing, so a lot of it may go over my head, but I'm paddling really quickly to try and catch up and get some value out of this. Look forward to, I suspect that we'll be trying to implement a facade over the top of our existing system and launch the CVD risk calculator. That's where our goal is.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing you. Brian?
Hey, Brian from Microsoft Research. So I'm not going to be doing any product-specific stuff, but happy to be helping anyone else who wants assistance, and probably be working on my pre-pop testing facilities in the Firepath Lab. So yeah, Firepath Lab does SDC of multiple flavors, and to try and help you work with SDC. If there's anything I can do, let me know.
Maybe you could give us an update on where you're up to with all that stuff at some point.
Yeah, that'd be cool. The
Okay.
extract stuff is looking really good. But yeah, we'll do.
Nicole?
Hey, I'm from Systems. I'll just continue testing our file server and smart launch capabilities. I'm happy to connect.
Thanks. Lisa?
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Kalman. I'm from the Heart Foundation. I have the AusCVD risk calculator that we're looking to put through the Smart on Fire technology, and it's really exciting seeing it all come to life, and I look forward to seeing you all in Sydney.
Great. Ilya?
Yeah, hi. Nice to see all of you again. Nice to see new faces. It's always great to connect with new people. Try to see how different kind of software could work together. So for this Connectathon, I will bring the EMR. So it's like full-featured Fire native EMR, and it provides Smart on Fire capability. So we are going to run all the apps, see how they works, and so on. Yep.
Awesome. And last but not least, Shandan.
Hi guys, from the HealthLink side, I'm going to try some of the existing Jura forms that we already have integration with, say, best practice, and we're trying to have some new Fire-based questionnaires in a common sort of launcher, so we can use, say, the launchers that Ilya and Nicole and Sean are going to bring to launch those different apps and questionnaires. So good to test some of that and tell you how things are set up in the sample Postman collection with the US Smart Launcher.
Okay, so you've got an app that we can have a go at launching off some of our fire servers. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Okay. Are there any further questions? Ben.
Sorry, I tried to visit the code sandbox link that you sent earlier, and it's just there's a sort of an error type error. So I wonder if anyone else might visit that link and get the same error, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. But
I think I'll have to look at that one. I'll try to debug it and then make it available, make it working.
Thanks, Sean.
It's okay.
Yeah, so it's actually all it is is a clone of the Microsoft App Starter Kit. And I'll just post a link to that as well into the chat. So what you can do is you can create a Code Sandbox account and you can plug this GitHub repo in and it will just clone that straight into your Code Sandbox and create a fork effectively. And you should be able to, so it doesn't work straight out, like if you just press play on Code Sandbox, because it's a smart app, it needs to be launched. So you can, for example, go to the smart app launch sandbox and launch that app. I'll see if I can just demonstrate what I'm talking about quickly. So, so this is the Code Sandbox, right? And then you can
I'm getting a
see
different error to that. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'm not
Just
sure.
a type error, but
yeah, we might have to have a look at that and see what's going wrong there. But possibly it's because I already had this in mind, and I don't know. We'll follow that up. But once you get past that, you should it should kind of build for you and automatically run the app in the right-hand side here. But because it's a smart app, it needs to be launched. So you can then go to something like the wherever it is.
Try Smart Health IT. Probably use Google then. Smart Health IT, Smart
Here we go. So what this is it's like a test harness for smart apps, and you can put any launch URL into here, including like ones that you're just running on localhost, and you can test out launching the app with various different parameters and pointing to a file server with just some generic test data in it. So if we put this app in, and you could just as easily like run it localhost 3000 or something locally, and we hit launch, what will happen is, because we didn't specify a patient or a practitioner beforehand, it'll kind of prompt us. So this is like simulating a context for the app. So you can imagine in a real EMR, you would already be logged in probably as a practitioner. You would be in the context of a patient, maybe even the context of some sort of encounter. And this is kind of setting up all that context. So we kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to pretend to be Dr. Stark this time. And I'm going to be looking at Mr. Barney Abbott. And then what happens in like less than a second probably is that that information gets passed through a launch URL, and then the smart app will redirect you, will get redirected to an authorization server, and then it will do an exchange and get an access token. And once it has that access token in the browser, it has the ability to issue requests to the file server with that access token, which will be a limited scope based on what the app needs to access within that file server. And this app is very simple. All this app does is query the patient information and display it on the screen, and also like allow you to test out like a write back. So you might update the patient's name, for example. But that's kind of a demonstration of the concept. So you can go into this app and you can actually modify it, right? So you can, this is just a React app with, you know, a really simple form here. You can see right at the index.js, you can see this is where we kind of interact with the Fire client library, which will be your best friend if you're implementing a app in JavaScript in the browser. This does all the hard work for you of doing the launch and the exchange and the token exchange and all the rest. And you can use this API and basically plug in a client ID and some scopes, and it will give you back a client that you can then use to make subsequent requests. So you can see that this this one here is actually using this client to get the patient information and render it out. But you can imagine much more sophisticated apps where you query other data or visualize it, write back different things. And some of the apps that we've been talking about today, you know, like smart forms and CVD risk calculators, are just expanding on this concept, really. All they're doing is being launched and then doing some queries, for example, to pre-populate data into the form, then letting the user complete that process and then maybe writing some data back. And that's kind of how they augment the functionality of an existing system. So if you're having trouble with that, we'll get you sorted there out of band. But that's a really easy way to get up and running with something simple and just learn.
Thanks, John. Turns out I had a typo in the URL, one for an L, so I got to that code sandbox page now, and I guess I can also work from the GitHub repository, and yeah, I'll give it a go. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so we've got the links to. I'll just one more link. Probably the most important link is going to be the link to the track page on Confluence. So that page will have all the information you need, including links to tools and the details of the other participants, and also the details of myself and Sean. So if you have any questions, any concerns, or want help with your prep, just give us an email and we'll do our best to help you out between now and the Connectathon. So if there's no other questions, I'm happy to just give you a little bit of time back. Thank you, everybody, for coming along, and looking forward to seeing you on the day.
Thanks all.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
John.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, John. Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. See ya.